First off, how dare you? And second
Yeah.
of all,
Why
he's
am I so right?
no, you're slightly wrong.
Why am I so
I
right?
believe that too.
It's okay, Josh. Being wrong is fine. It's okay
Yeah.
to feel this way. We're not attacking you. You're just wrong.
Oh,
Okay.
no. I'm saying that you're wrong, Ethan.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
we'll
attacking
see.
you, Ethan. No, I'm just kidding.
It's fine. Attack me. Attack me. We'll see what happens. So, welcome to day two of our little draft week. We have running backs today, arguably the most disappointing section of the draft.
This draft. Yeah.
This
Yeah,
draft.
this draft, but
Yeah. This year was a little lackluster
yeah.
when it comes to, well,
Well,
I think they were just, it
It's
was
the
just so much
fits.
talent on
It's the
defense and wide
fits.
receivers and all of that that they just got washed out.
don't make me bring
So.
up Bishop Sankey.
Don't make me bring up Isaiah Pacheco.
Hey,
Pacheco.
he's not bad.
Okay.
Not bad. Not bad. Hold up here. But we are going to be talking about the running backs of the 2022 NFL draft, which for a D value position sure had quite a few of them drafted. Just gonna throw that
Yeah.
out there.
Quite a few.
But
in the late rounds. Yeah.
definitely in the late
Yeah.
rounds. I think Ethan, you alluded to this, and I think this is absolutely the main takeaway, especially from this draft class, is like fit is king when it comes.
I mean,
to
I'm so disappointed because there's so much time. I mean, I have my running back notes right here, and I have such good things to say about everyone except Damian Pierce. And then I look at the team that they all went to, and I'm like, this is such a waste.
Oh,
Such a waste of talent.
Trust me, if you think Damian Pierce is like the worst when it comes to fits, trust me, I have a few others that I am
Oh
questioning.
yeah, we're gonna get to it. But Ryan, why don't you kick us with running back number one, the first running back taken?
Brees Hall to the Jets.
Brees Hall.
Honestly, like
Hall.
I don't think it's a amazing fit, but I think he could do some good work there. You know, I mean, R.I.P. Michael Carter, but
oh my gosh,
you know,
yeah, no, that one hurts.
I think he could. It may end up turning into a committee back situation there, but I think he could do some work.
Well, I mean, we need to think
his
about
potential is high.
We need to think about who are the coaches there. Sala, offensive coordinator, Mike LaFleur. Who do they come from? The Kyle Shanahan system.
Yeah,
but unlike Kyle Shanahan, you usually never see a running back drafted this high from a regime like that. So this is where it gets very interesting. I think, to me, Brees Hall, what is really good, the only reason I didn't have him as RB1 for me is I have a Big 12 bias when it comes to watching like them go against defenses, because literally they all suck. But I think Brees Hall had really good like vision, and he had like a good burst. It wasn't like home run like ability, but he's a really good do it all back.
Yeah, he's an all around great running back. Like, he's not amazing at any one thing, but he can do everything.
Yeah. So before I get into what I have to say in my notes about Brees Hall, I'll go over scores. So Ryan scored him at a 37 out of 50 based off of how we rank them, based off of how we see the fit, the impact, their potential, and the value. And then Josh scored him a 37.5, and I scored him a 32. So where did he lose points for you guys?
So I'm just kind of going through it. Maybe the value a little bit, because
a little high.
Just
a little bit.
That's where he lost. That's where he lost points for me. The draft selection value.
The potential I had as a little down. I kind of rated that one a little lower just because it is a Shanahan
I feel like he has
system.
a high floor.
Very high floor.
A really high floor. I don't know how much better he's going to get, because I mean, in my notes, he's already got the pass catching ability. He already has his style as a runner. He likes to weave like in and out and around the field.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're really going to develop any specific moves, because he's not a juker. He's not a, he weaves, and that's what he does.
There's not much he has to develop.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much to develop. It's just about the system and how well they can incorporate him in it, because I feel like you kind of already have what you have.
Yeah.
Now, I
Yep.
do like him.
I agree.
I do like him because one of the most important things in the NFL now is contact balance for running backs. And I think Brees Hall was
and he
one of the
has
better ones.
a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, he runs through tackles, and I mean, he's not a huge guy. He's 210, I think it was, or 215. So I mean, he's not a
don't know.
huge guy, but I mean, he runs hard and he fights for yards, even
He's
though he's not like
220.
Algiere. Oh, he is 220. Okay,
Yeah,
So-
6'1", 220.
he's not
Good
on the same
size.
level as Algiere, who's also 220, but I mean, he runs hard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And
It's a big thing for running backs.
yeah, he was just more elusive in a passing game than I realized.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching him and
yeah.
I was like, he was good. And then there was a couple plays I'm like, oh wow, that actually it was kind of good for me to kind of take a step back and then watch him again, because there's a couple things
Right.
that I was like, oh hey, I didn't expect that.
Right. Maybe not
Uh,
as good as some of the people we have coming up, but yeah, I definitely liked him catching out of the backfield. I think he can be a good change of pace from Michael Carter.
I think he's the starter at the moment, to be honest with you. I think he's the
Ah,
starter, and because
I don't know.
I think he is too.
with Brees Hall basically there, it allows you to do basically everything you want to do. So like he like there's some like running backs that when you put them in the backfield, you want to do one thing. So like for example, like Gus Edwards, it's a power run.
Right.
Whereas with Brees Hall, you can kind of hide that a little bit because he doesn't necessarily have like one elite thing. He has a lot of really good things.
Right.
Which, funny enough, is kind of like my kind of takeaway of the the running back class as a whole there. But and then Michael Carter, he was a little bit leaner, but a lot of like passing work. So that's where I feel like Brees Hall definitely in a rookie draft should be considered either at the 101 or definitely first round consideration.
Okay. I mean, he's a big question mark for me. I don't know how comfortable I feel with him. I really don't like any of the running backs in terms of
I would say
early
personally,
round selection.
if you need a running back and you have 101, I would take Brees Hall. But
Okay.
personally,
I
for
think that's
me,
fair.
I'm looking at receiver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
At the
I
101.
agree, 100%.
This is definitely receiver heavy in fantasy drafts. this
And
year.
is it Alex with the 101 for us?
Yes.
I don't know.
believe it is.
Let me see.
Yep, it's Alex with the 101.
He lost, yeah, because he lost the toilet bowl.
Yep.
So, yep, Alex, if you're listening,
And well, he has a
you do
Zeke,
need a
so
running
Brees
back
Hall.
You
too.
do need a
Brees
running
Hall,
back.
Yeah, he does.
Brees Hall, Alex. Throw your 101 away and give me the choice
Yeah.
of whoever I want at wide receiver. Thanks for the 102, Josh.
Brees,
You're welcome.
Brees
I'm okay with
Hall,
that trade. I got Lamar.
and I think there's potential at this next running back.
Definitely.
Well, one last thing on Brees Hall. The one thing I noticed about him from my film study is watching him in the open field in the second level outrunning people. Not
Mhm.
Yeah.
people don't catch up to him or people, kind of stay like a yard or two away and he just
Yeah.
gets by. No, I'm talking outrunning.
outrun. Yeah, he's not getting hawked down by anybody, which I saw
Finishing
with
10,
Yeah.
11, 12, 15 yards ahead of the entire
Yeah.
defense. So, I mean, you get him into open space. Brees Hall is the guy I would trust to go score out of this entire
Definitely.
class.
And even though
Because
that was
everyone
on,
else with the film study, people don't catch up to them, but there is such a dramatic difference between they
Yeah.
don't catch up to you and you're outrunning
Running.
the entire team.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, I agree.
And especially someone who's like consistently like at the same like speed and pace, which
Right.
like Brees Hall is, I think maybe that like 10-15 yard margin in a big from a Big 12 defense is probably going to be like 5 to 7 yards. That's still a lot of
Right.
yards there.
But I mean, as an offensive coordinator, you'll take that. I mean, if you can
Oh,
get 5
absolutely.
to 7 yards every play,
Yeah,
Oh,
give me
yeah,
that.
that's golden.
yeah.
That's golden right there.
I mean, offensive
Yeah.
coordinators want to get 3 yards every play. That's the benchmark.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
Um,
I overall like it sounds like that we're kind of like trashing on the pick a little bit, but we're really not. We think Brees Hall is going to be
No.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I think he's a great player. It's just I would have loved to see him somewhere else.
I agree with that.
You know?
Yeah.
I'd have loved to see him in Houston I would have loved to see him in Atlanta. I would have loved to see him in Minnesota. I don't know. Just to name a couple of places.
I would love to see
Yeah.
him in Minnesota.
I know you would.
I know you. Yeah, absolutely. But let's talk about the next running back and someone who I had as running back one from the get go. I think he's incredible. Kenneth Walker III, drafted to the Seattle Seahawks, and I think with this selection, I think him at 41. That's basically where he's kind of been the entire time.
Yeah.
But
It was good value. It
what?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't great value. It wasn't amazing value. It
it's
was
good.
That's where he was. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which so that's where like some of the points kind of dropped for me. Which
Same.
we could bring over here. Ryan had a 32 on Kenneth Walker. I had a 35.5, and Ethan had a 31. So we were kind of roughly like the same area.
And again, it's just the fit. I don't like him
Yeah.
in Seattle because I think Penny's going to be your lead back. Chris Carson's going to be your change of back.
So
Where does Walker fit in? Unless he explodes in preseason.
can I have
See,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
I was gonna have a small counterpoint.
Okay.
I think this means Carson's done. Like at this, so Ryan, I'm sorry.
see
I know
that.
you
Yeah.
drafted Chris
Yeah, I
Carson.
kind of got screwed over.
Yeah, that's bad
Yeah,
there.
Ryan, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry for you.
And-
I traded for him.
Traded for him, and then with Rashad Penny, he's on a 1 year deal if I'm not mistaken. He only signed like a 1 year. So in year
think
two
so.
and so on and so forth, you could potentially be looking at a situation where it's Kenneth Walker just did. And
Yeah.
to me, that was really hard to grade. It's like, well, does Seattle really like Rashad Penny? Or do they want to keep this committee? Oh
Mhm.
crap, it's not Russell Wilson anymore. And so it was very weird selection for me because I would have probably gone somewhere else if I was Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand what they're doing, but that's kind
See-
of the curse of the outside.
My name is Pete
Perspective.
Carroll, and I run the
Well,
ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do kind of understand because I've seen some comps of Marshawn Lynch, which of course they're going to go for because it's
To
Seattle.
Kenneth Walker?
Yeah, actually, I've seen a lot of comps to Marshawn Lynch, and I mean he's just a downhill runner. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, I have him as a workhorse back.
yeah.
You know, super physical, can handle the load.
Yep.
I mean, from my film study, he's a natural runner. Another big
Very
trait.
natural.
Oh yeah, a big trait in a running back is what they call a pick and slide. So basically, what that means is, can you pick a hole and then go for it, or can you see the outside and then slide out and get wide? And so
Mhm.
that's something that's very important with a running back. And I mean, on the film, that's the first thing you notice of like he's just so natural with it. He knows where he's
yeah.
going. He knows what he needs to do with the football, and he just goes. He doesn't second guess himself.
And he's a very like angry runner, is how
yeah.
I
Yeah.
picked
And-
up,
and-
which is
It's all from his feet too.
yes.
Mhm.
It's all from his feet, that anger. Like you can tell a good running back from their feet, whether their style is, like you said, angry, whether it's shifty, whether it's fast, it all comes from the feet. And he has really quick, good footwork.
Yeah, and he
Good.
was, yeah, he was obviously one of the top running backs. He was a Heisman candidate at Michigan State,
Yeah.
and he was
As he
doing
should have
that-
been.
Yeah, as he should have been. He was doing this on Big Ten defenses like that. That's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I loved watching film on Kenneth Walker.
Oh, it was a
Um,
fun watch.
Yeah, I can't say it enough. He was just physical. He made Michigan State into what they were when they were undefeated. Without Kenneth Walker, they're not undefeated for as long as they were.
Yep, 100% agree with you there.
Love him. Love the player. Again, I love the player. I just want to see him somewhere else.
Yeah.
And-
I think the team fit isn't that great.
Yeah, I just think the team's just not there yet to where like he may struggle year one, but hopefully year two, year three, we're talking about him as a like top 3 round player.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I would love
There's
to see him
definitely
in 2 or
potential
3
there.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being the starter for Seattle. But on to our next running back. And this, any
Ooh,
final
boy.
thoughts?
No, I'm ready for the next
No
running
fun.
back.
No, I'm good.
All right. James Cook. All right. Mr. Cook himself, Dalvin's younger brother. So the ratings, Ryan gave him a 35. Josh gave him a 41.5. So the highest rated player that we've had so far. Interesting. And then I gave him a 30. Josh, why did you rate Mr.
So
Cook so high?
I want to start off with this. I did not expect him to be this high. Honestly, I just
Okay.
kept thinking about the fit, and then I was watching him play. Like I was watching it earlier this morning, and I was like, man, I thought Georgia kind of shielded him away. How I originally thought is Georgia. Oh, I wonder why Georgia like shielded him away from like some of the tougher runs or anything like that. And then I kind of watched again today and realized, no, Georgia never really did that. They just knew they had a passing weapon on their hands, and they
Right.
decided to use that and then spell him with like Zamir White. And that's when I realized, oh no, James Cook really could be a 3-down back with elite pass catching ability from the backfield. And now you're giving him to Josh Allen, and
Yep.
you have a running back like Devin Singletary, like he's good, but I can totally see James Cook being the starter from the get-go, honestly. And so
There's definitely potential
he
there.
so
Yeah.
I rated him super high. Like obviously this kicks Zach Moss out the door.
Oh, Zach Moss has been dead for
Yeah, he
I don't know,
Sadly,
since like week
yeah.
9.
Yeah, and so I was literally watching James Cook, and I said there could not have been a more perfect team to select James Cook, and that's why
Yeah, I
I
thought
gave
so.
him the really high grade.
Yeah, team fit, it works.
Mhm.
That's where James Cook is supposed to go. I mean, my gosh.
Yeah.
I just don't know if day one the impact he's gonna have impact day one.
I mean,
That's my
Because
only
there is
question
a
too.
solid running back there in Devin Singletary, who last year at the end of the year really proved that he could do a workhorse back situation.
yeah, I think
Because
if anything, like he will be on the field. Like I think he'll get a lot of
I agree.
reps. Just if anything, it'll be just third and obvious situations to
yeah,
start off, and then we'll see from there. I can totally see the Bills using two running back system because they are like a similar build, and so we can
yeah,
see that. But his ability to catch the ball from the backfield is unparalleled that I have seen in a
Yeah.
running back in some time.
It's
Mhm.
the best out of this entire class.
yeah,
Like that's
Absolutely.
his thing is elite catching. I mean, what I have for him is just freak athlete. I loved his low center of gravity and his balance.
Yep.
That was the other thing that jumped out to me. Like you said, elite pass catching ability, very shifty. I mean, he is
yep.
just Mr. Wiggles. He's a
Like his
joystick.
brother, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
he's a little different from Dalvin, I will say.
Little,
He's a little
little
bit
bit.
more
Dalvin
shifty. Dalvin's
Dalvin's
a little
more
bit
downhill.
angrier.
Dalvin's more
Yeah,
downhill.
yeah,
He's more hard nosed, where his little brother is probably used to running away from Dalvin, and that's why he's so shifty. And then the last thing that jumped out from his tape to me was his change of direction. I mean, even on
Yes.
some of the inside runs, just how he can change when the hole's not there to just cut back, cut across the field and make a play. I enjoy
And
watching his tape.
it was such like powerful like cut moves to where
Yeah.
like for a moment I thought it was like, oh, he's a little stiff, but it's not that. It was just so much power coming in from that cut
Yeah.
move going to the next lane. And
Yeah.
so
The
overall,
only thing doesn't fight for yards, so he doesn't have that contact ability.
that's the only thing that kept me from having him as my
Right.
highest player, because
And
that's
how's he
where
going to
like
develop on first and second down is my thing.
yeah.
exactly that so that's where I feel like, I mean, I kind of had that issue with Dalvin Cook to kind of start off with, like when he was coming into the league, and obviously Dalvin Cook has kind of like answered that, and I think
Right.
James Cook can basically answer that as well.
Yeah, he can
Yeah.
overcome.
Oh, yeah. I think he can as well. I just need to see it before
Yeah.
my grade. I'm very low balling these grades because there's so many questions with these. Other than like the wide receivers, there's so many questions with all these draft picks.
Yeah.
And I just need to see it
I get
before I
that.
buy in. So, but I loved James Cook. I really did. He was great. His tape was great. I mean the where he was at in Georgia was just kind of difficult, you know, because it's Georgia. They do run the football a lot, but having him and Zamir White was just kind of, and all the Georgia running backs before him too was just kind of, it is what it is. But I loved his tape.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing that I thought about is while Georgia does run the ball a lot, it's a very simple offense
Oh yeah,
that
it's
is
simple
just
inside zone.
yeah, it's like inside zone, dive, power,
Yeah,
and like counter once in a while trap, and so it's
yeah. Mix it up and do a sweep or a pitch.
yeah, and so there's like so I'm also thinking
Play
I was like,
action.
man, he's kind of put in situations that doesn't necessarily help,
Yeah, lots
and
of screens too.
lots of screens, and that's where I see that he can be used quite a bit.
Yeah, I think he's going to be great in the NFL. I think the fit is good in Buffalo, but I'm ready to see it in preseason. So prove me wrong, James
Yep.
Cook.
Yep. And now for the next running back, which to be honest with you, I did again another running back I did not expect to grade so high is Rashad White from Arizona State being selected 91st overall to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I didn't like him until I watched the tape.
That's exactly my like thought as well. So Ryan gave him a 29, I gave him a 34.75, and Ethan with another 30. So Ethan, bring up Rashad White,
Yeah, so Rashad White is from Arizona.
Arizona
And
State.
kind of Arizona. Okay, Arizona State. The state of Arizona. That's where he played college in Arizona. Um, the things I liked about him, I loved his catching ability. He's right behind James Cook. Speed was the other thing. I believe he's the fastest in this class,
He
if I'm not mistaken. At 4.41.
I
Believe that
think
was the
one was
fastest.
faster.
Yeah.
Was there? Okay, he was either first or second. But that's the thing you see on tape is how fast he is. I mean, his screens and catching ability was just, yeah, ridiculous. I loved his tape as well. Footwork for him was the other thing that jumped off the tape for me. And I love him as a change of pace back. I think he's
Yeah.
going to be uh, a change of pace. I think he's going to be third down, kind of like James Cook. Um, and that's really where I see him fitting in the NFL. He said, "Oh, I'm gonna go and take the starting job in Tampa Bay." Yeah, no. I love
No.
you. I love your personality. I loved his interviews and stuff, but he's not going to take
Look,
over in Tampa Bay.
he's not going to take over
And that's
from Fournette, but
yeah,
I
and see,
mean,
that's one of my concerns is, he's not going to be
Well, because Tampa
a
Bay's a
big day
power
one.
run.
yeah,
It's not going to be a big day one impact for him.
Yeah,
He's going to have to learn that offense. He's going to have to take some time.
he's
right.
he's
So
very much a mid round, I think, swing. If you're looking within like
Yeah,
10th, 11th round in a like a regular draft, just because he is going to be that backup, you do want the Leonard Fournette insurance.
right.
But I think what we're saying is if Leonard Fournette gets hurt, he can basically be more than capable to fill the shoes.
yeah,
Yeah. They would have to change up the system a little bit for him because you can't power run with Rashad White. But, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, that one I feel like may take some time. I think he can do it. I see the ability that he's able to pull that off, but
yeah,
but he's definitely going to be a spell back. Definitely change
Yeah.
of pace there. But I thought like the value is kind of where I thought he would be as well.
Yeah.
I like what we said before. Way better when I sat down and watch.
Yeah. I agree. I think the scouting department did a good job. That's where I expected him to go after kind of seeing the tape. Good luck to him in Tampa Bay. I hate Tampa Bay. I'm a Falcons fan, in case that's not clear. So I hope he crashes and burns respectfully.
6 weeks ago, weren't you like
yeah.
weren't you a Saints fan?
No? When did that happen?
We had it in we had it in the previous episode, and we were just messing with you. It's like Ethan, the Saints fan.
Blasphemy.
So the next running back is Tyrion Davis Price from LSU, selected to San Francisco, and I know a lot of people kind of turn heads on this pick, but it's not as bad as I think everyone made it out to be.
I mean, they had a lot of injuries at the running back position, so having insurance and a guy who had decent production and decent traits, I don't think it's a bad pick. especially when you have that many injuries.
It's not a bad pick, but there is certainly one running back I wish they would have taken.
Who's that?
I wish they took Pierre Strong.
Okay. I
That's
actually
what.
like that fit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would fit pretty well.
I was like, it's like a more durable Mozart, pretty much.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't mind Tyrion Davis-Price, but
no, I don't mind him at all. I think in terms of fantasy, he's in running back purgatory.
yeah,
But because you still got Elijah Mitchell, you still got Trey Sermon if anyone can find him, and then you still have J. Michael Hasty. I mean, but we all know Kyle Shanahan systems; they will use their running backs accordingly. So
right.
in fantasy, I would avoid unless he becomes the clear cut top dog like a Devonta Freeman was, and when Kyle Shanahan was in Atlanta.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about drafting him yet.
Yeah, he's kind of a wait and see for me. I wouldn't draft him. I wouldn't stash him. I just kind of put him on your little watch list.
Yeah.
You have that ability through whatever system. If you have sleeper,
Honestly,
you can put whoever you want on a watch list. So
That is true.
gonna go ahead and
Yeah,
plug
there you go.
sleeper again. Please sponsor us.
But honestly, like any of these running backs, from the third round on,
Yeah, kind of.
just watch them.
And
I mean, there are going to be some that may have day one impact, but it'll be minimal.
a lot of roles, I would say.
Yeah,
A
a lot of roles.
There's really only two that are really going to be day one backs, in my opinion. Which do we want to kind of just screw how they got picked and kind of talk about those two backs?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, so I mean, let's talk about the first one because I know Ethan's been wanting to talk about him. Is Tyler Algiere. The other running back that I would mention as a potential day one impact for sure to me is
After Brees Hall.
is Damian Pierce, but the only reason there is because Marlon Mack is.
All right, who you want to talk about
He's
first?
up
You want to
there.
talk about Damian
Let's go
Pierce, or
Damian.
you want to
Let's
talk
Let's go
about
Damian
Pierce.
Pierce. Let's go Damian Pierce. So for me, I mean, I had him as a 31.25. Ethan had him at 29. Ryan had 30. I think given the running back room right now, Damian Pierce should be one you'd be looking at because he can basically immediately become the starter, and then your spellback's going to be Rex Head.
But why is that? It's
Rex
because Rex Head is 32, going on 33, and Marlon Mack is ACL
Achilles
repair and Achilles, and
he's the $6 million man, but just on
this,
the lower
this is
body.
what sucks. All right, let me tell you about Damian Pierce. Okay, Damian Pierce is just average. That is why I don't like him.
Why do you say that?
All of his traits are average. I mean, he doesn't have
all his traits are average.
He doesn't have elite vision. He doesn't have elite pass catching. He doesn't have elite balance. He doesn't have elite speed. He doesn't have elite break tackling ability.
How can you say
everything
that?
about this running back, everything about Damian Pierce is average. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Career. Guess how many
he doesn't.
games?
He doesn't even have elite or good production.
Okay. All right. So yeah, he doesn't have good production because he was part of a committee back situation in Florida.
And with
what he averaged?
Why is that?
No,
because
you know what he
average
averaged?
Player.
You know what he averaged? No, it's because the Florida system is messed up. But you know what he averaged? 5.5 yards per carry. And he
in the SEC.
And that was only having 5 games in his entire career over 10 carries because of Florida.
Look, he was highly underused. I totally disagree with you about like the contact balance and break tackles. He is the most violent runner in this draft. And that goes into account because he sets the tone. Like if you think about with Houston, you got Davis Mills, you have Brandon Cooks, you have Nico Collins, and I think they have another. No, they don't. But they have they drafted Kenyon Green, and so like he is a good fit. He's going to start. I think. Fit. Yeah, he's going to start. Do I think he's going to be like the home run hitter, the 3-down back like a Kenneth Walker or Brees Hall? No, but combined with a Rex Head who can fill in all like the passing work, he can more than enough handle inside zone powers or anything like that.
Yeah,
He is a very good
the
player. In
fit
my
the fit is good. Let me tell you what you see on tape. What you see on tape is this. He's lacking in patience and vision. And
I
this is just watch the tape. You'll see it. I promise you.
I
He
blame.
does have good footwork.
But he's also lacking in experience.
That's
Yeah.
the other thing is
So
that he
you
has
put
no
him on
wear
the
and tear.
field. You put him on the field,
And we'll see.
and
We'll
he'll
see.
work
Maybe it
for
is
ya.
just more reps. But I'm talking about right now. Day one is where he lost points for me. Right. So you see the patience and vision as a problem. You do see good footwork. You see shifty for how big he is. Like he's surprisingly mixy for being a big running back. He drags tacklers and he has good burst. He doesn't have good speed. He has good initial burst.
Yes, I agree. I would agree with that.
And that's what I at least saw on film. But nothing jumps out. Nothing is elite. Nothing is number like like we said, James Cook. Nothing.
Oh, we just lost him. See, and that's fate telling you that you're completely wrong about Damian Pierce.
Yeah, fate killing my mic. No, I just don't like Damian Pierce day one. That's my only thing.
I understand that.
You are entitled to your.
I get that
You're
sentiment.
entitled to your opinion.
It's just when you look at that Houston depth chart is
I know.
where I go,
I
oh
understand.
no. To me, it's not so much whether like, oh, he's so good, he's going to be the day one starter. It is everyone else is so bad, he is the day one starter.
But we're also talking
Well,
about
and
the
also
defense, right?
there's so many question marks surrounding him. He had good production when he had the ball,
Yeah.
but he just never had the chance to
But
actually.
I also kind of
put
have
in
to
the work.
blame Florida on that. Like they had
Yeah.
like quarterback was kind of a little bit weird. Anthony Richardson, I believe it's Anthony Richardson. I might be wrong on that, but there was just a lot of turnover from the past couple years. Like I mean, if you look at like who's come up from Florida, like Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney, Van Jefferson,
Right.
and there's Tyree Cleveland, Stone Forsythe, and there was just a lot of turnover where I think there just may have been a lot of inexperience on tape.
Don't
that
forget
you
about
saw.
Kyle Trask.
Yeah, Kyle Trask. But
But I don't know. I do think you're right. He will more than likely end up being the starter. It's just there's so many things that he needs to develop. Now,
Yeah.
I don't even know if he has that
I'm-
potential because you haven't seen enough tape on him.
Yeah,
I think-
and
I-
I
To decide
completely
whether or
agree.
not you have.
I get
And that's
that.
where preseason comes in. We get to actually see him on the field. But if he does win over that starting position, I mean, what's his competition there?
Yeah, I
Rex
think.
said, don't you ever disrespect that man. He got me to the fantasy playoffs.
Look,
Old man Rex head.
is it
Team
fun?
Rex said.
When I was watching Damian Pierce, though, I kept thinking of Lendale White.
Okay.
And it was like he's just a power back that he will get the tough yards to keep the drive alive. But he's not
I mean, that's
one
what you
to
see
where
on tape, Like on tape, he is dragging people.
I just think
that's a good trait.
there's a value in that, especially when Houston will probably be struggling to get yards.
Yeah. But we'll see.
I want to talk about the other day one running back that was selected really late, however. And I will tell you right now, this is where I love doing our big board so late. And it's because we get to observe like all the running backs. We take a little bit more time to like think about them. And then we also combine that with where they got selected and all the moves after the draft.
Right.
So for us, for Tyler Algiere, he's going to be super high on our list.
Right.
Within the big board. I have him as a 37.75, and then Ethan and Ryan have him at 35. But I would say like one funny enough, Tyler Algiere is Mike Davis to me. As far as a player comp, I was like, oh, you just got a better version of Mike Davis right now. But make no mistake, though, that's not an indictment of Tyler Algiere. Great, I think, good contact balance. He will hustle. Like and I thought he was a
Yeah,
good
he's
player
physical.
with a great
He's
fit.
dominant.
He's a very physical back.
And
He
he's a
was
great
probably one of
compliment
the
to
most
Cordero.
dominant
Yeah.
running backs in college football. And I mean, his production shows that he averaged 7.5 yards per carry. He had 1,100 rushing yards. He had 21 rushes over 15 yards. That's how dominant he is as a
Yep.
runner. I mean, that's a good number. The only thing is you haven't seen that production because they transitioned him from linebacker, but that's still a plus for me because that tells me he understands defenses too.
And he
He
So that
also
does.
has
conversion
room to
isn't a
grow
negative.
too.
Oh, he
There-
has so much room to grow. I mean, I think his potential is up there. If not number one, it's top three highest potentials of all of the running backs in this class.
My only issue that I had with him, and honestly, it's starting to become less of an issue to me, is just he gets caught sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the player. Like they say that about the competition, and that might have some water. He was at BYU, so maybe the competition wasn't as good, and it might be different at the NFL level.
I mean, it will be different, but you're literally talking about a guy who transitioned from linebacker to running back.
Right, and
So that-
dominated.
And dominated, and that's where
Yeah.
it's like, oh man, he's a way different fifth round pick to me than like other fifth round picks, just because it's like,
Yeah.
man, you really don't know what else there is there.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he looks like a running back, and he
He
has
really
so
does.
much natural ability. Like
he looks
his
like Mike
vision-
Davis.
yeah, but I
He's-
mean,
he's an
but
athlete.
so much better than Mike Davis.
I
Because
agree.
his vision is above average, I would say.
Yeah.
His lateral movement is above average. He runs north south. He can catch the ball. I don't know
Yeah.
why he was a linebacker, but he can catch the football. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Just doesn't have speed
Speed.
or anything.
Yeah, he
The only
is
thing is
such
his
a
feet.
he is such a
Yeah.
great fit for this Arthur Smith offense.
If Arthur Smith develops his footwork, I see him as a running back one, a strong running back.
You know what, like, and I know
Yeah.
you, and usually like with
That
Atlanta
could
players, I was like, all right, Ethan might be hyping him up too much, but then I looked, I was like,
No,
I think he could
tape doesn't
definitely,
lie.
he can be a low end running back one.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that jumped out to me from my notes on tape was his cutting ability. He just has a natural sense for when to make cuts, and he makes hard, strong cuts and just leaves people on their butts. Like he was awesome. I loved watching him on tape at BYU. I didn't watch a ton of BYU games because Brigham Young, but I loved watching his tape.
Yeah, I thought he was out. It's a great pick for Atlanta at 151, and literally as soon as they got him, they cut Mike Davis. So that should tell you
Yeah.
all that you need to know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's really nothing much else to say, but those are definitely a lot of the day one backs that we think will have like a major impact. Are there any other running backs on this list that you're like, hey, this is a very sneaky fantasy option?
Shoot.
To me, it's Pierre Strong. And I'll marry
Yeah.
I'll marry
Yeah.
this with the Cole Strange pick. Because since Cole Strange is such a good zone blocker to where he can be plug and play right now, to where I think I see New England trying to transition more to that Shanahan mode of outside zone. And that's where I see Pierre Strong. And of all the running backs here, he's the only one on that team that has home run ability.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just from what I saw on tape, I loved his ability to read blocks. I think that was one of his strongest things. I mean, it was only at South Dakota State, but being able to read blocks is not just something that comes natural. Like that is
That
definitely a trait.
translates.
Yeah, that's something that translates, especially in the NFL. I mean, he's big, he's north south. He's my sleeper personally out of all of them. Like he could be so special. I mean, I could see him as like a James Robinson type player.
Well, I don't think he has the power of like James Robinson, but he is a one cut north south dude, and once he hits second level, he's gone. Like we talked about like outrunning people. He was outrunning people at the FCS level. And it would be like 20 yards like plus or something like that. But I think he can be really good. Any other running backs, you guys?
That's
not
all
really.
I had for me.
I mean, we can kind of go through the list who we didn't talk about. Brian Robinson, good player, bad fit in my opinion. Just
Yeah.
because
RIP to Washington.
R.I.P. to Antonio Gibson as well.
Nah,
Let's
Gibson's gonna be
see.
fine.
Let's see. Houston Texans has Damian Pierce. The Raiders took Zamir White, James Cook's teammate.
Oh,
I think
Yeah,
is
no.
he
good.
will be the starter next year.
Yes, so because they're
Josh
not going to pick
Jacobs is
up
out the
Josh
door.
Jacobs.
No.
Yep, Josh
They
Jacobs
didn't,
is out.
well, they didn't pick up his option. To me, that's telling. Like that's where it's like, oh,
Uh,
if you're not going to pick up his option,
Don't ask me where Josh Jacobs is going to go, but he's going to go somewhere.
he will go somewhere. Isaiah Spiller, I'm not high on whatsoever. Let's see, There's Pierre Strong. Hassan Haskins, I like that he's a power back, but
yeah, very
he
strong, very
fits.
physical.
Yeah, he fits a very specific role. There's Algiere, Snoop Connor. All right. I wanted to bring this up. Snoop Connor upsets me because it's James Robinson. Like he plays exactly like James Robinson, and I'm
Well,
upset about that.
Yeah, I've been kind of hearing through the grapevine about him. Like he's just a filler until Robinson's healthy because he's been dealing with some
Don't
issues.
forget about ETN, buddy.
Robinson has
No,
the well,
he's there to help fill in for Robinson's role because ETN
Yeah.
has a whole different
Yeah.
thing going on.
ETN has a whole different skill set, but then now you have Snoop Connor and Robinson.
Yeah,
To me, that kind of just says Robinson's out the door, and which I hope he goes to a different team
there's a definite
because
possibility.
because Robinson has earned a career in the NFL.
I just don't know with injury history, but other than
that's where it gets
I
interesting.
mean, production, I love James Robinson.
Yeah.
Let's think what else. Really the last couple of ones. Jerome Ford, I was like, oh, this is Kareem Hunt's replacement. Like to me, he
Yeah,
played
I can
exactly
see
like it. And then Kyron Williams to the Rams, good spell back for Cam Akers.
Yeah.
One that I really liked,
Which I don't think Cam Akers is going to end up being the starter for that Rams team.
who do you think will be the starter? Because Michelle's on the Dolphins.
Yeah,
Like now we run into a point of who else is there.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Akers. I don't know if they're going to bring somebody in or what they're going to do, but I don't think it's going to be Akers. Now, granted, it was really early on when Akers came back in the playoffs, but I didn't like him.
I think he'll be a whole lot better because that like what he did was insane. But
I mean,
now he has
could
a
be Henderson.
it could be. But Henderson gets hurt though. In that
He
one,
didn't this last. He was gone for 1 game or 2 games.
A
No,
little
it
bit more
was
than
1
that.
game. I think it was 1 game, and then the second game they were worried about bringing him back, and they just let Michelle ride it out. And
yeah,
then Michelle just took his job after the second week.
basically.
It's going to be Jake Funk. That's what it's going to be.
Yep, it'll definitely be Jake Funk. The one last person I want to bring up before we do our famous game, Ty Chandler. Way better than I realized. I think he has a completely
him.
different skill set compared to Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison. And I think he's definitely not just there for depth.
Yeah.
And I really, really like him. And that could be a late round steal, especially in the Keeper Dynasty League for you to watch out for.
Yeah, I like Ty Chandler's skill set. I think being in Minnesota is going to be interesting. I don't know how it's going to work out with Madison being there, but I mean, I like the player. I like the skill set. I like the potential. Resident Vikings fan?
Yeah, resident Vikings fan. What are your thoughts?
He's trash.
I don't know.
All right.
I was kind of low on him because I honestly think that Madison is the heir to Dalvin Cook.
Mhm.
So bringing in Ty Chandler is good competition for him. So I honestly don't know how it's going to go, but if he proves his worth, because like Madison already has a very solid part in that offense.
Right.
So seeing Ty Chandler come in, he may up his game. Who knows? So I think it's a good addition.
Well, in that case, guys, I think those are the running backs.
Those
Yep.
are
But now,
running backs.
are
Let's
the
go
running
Tyler
backs.
Algiere.
All right. So, Ethan, it is time for bust, sleeper, and lock of the running
Yeah.
backs of the 2022 NFL draft. Guys, who is your bust in this class?
Rashad White.
Oh,
Rashad White is
okay.
my bust. Unfortunately, not because I dislike him. It's mostly because I dislike the Buccaneers, but also I know he's not gonna take over for Fournette. And they have the guy who filled in for Rojo when he was injured. And he had that crazy game. Oh gosh.
Keyshawn Vaughn?
Yep,
I'm
Keyshawn
gonna
Vaughn.
I'm gonna second
They already
that.
have Keyshawn Vaughn, which is basically Rashad White, except he knows the system.
I'm gonna double down on that. So I
I'm gonna-
agree with you.
I'm going to say the running back drafted right after him, and actually no, 5 picks after him. I'm going to go Brian Robinson. I think you'll have
Okay.
I think you'll have a long career, but as far as like fantasy impact, I think it's more as
He's
a
not gonna
streaming
overtake
option.
Tyler.
Yeah, more of a streaming option, and especially in the situation he is right now. Don't necessarily see a good role for him considering McKissick's back, Gibson's back, or unless Gibson is not the person we all think he's going to be. That's where things get interesting. So I'll say it's going to be Brian Robinson.
No, and that's fair. And I think with Gibson, I think they need to give him just a little bit more credit. Because, I mean, if you just look at the potential there with Gibson, like, I mean, he doesn't have the injury history, he doesn't have the wear and tear on his body. Like, there is so much there with Gibson.
Yeah, there is so
and that's
much.
why I agree that Brian will be a bust. But
Yeah, there's so much there that I don't trust Scott Turner to use.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's fair. And you know, they could prove us wrong this season. This could be the season where Washington finally gets it together.
And and that's something I do want to say, like more than anything, whether we like or like, hey, we don't like the pick or the fit or anything like that, we really do all hope these players succeed. We really
Oh, of
hope we're
course.
wrong. This is the
course.
only part
Mhm.
of it that we
We
really
don't know.
hope
It's
we're
not
wrong
like
at.
yeah, it's not like we know any of these people to where we'd be like, oh, I hate this guy. You know, like, that's just not what we do, and that's not who we are as people either. But Ryan, what is your sleeper?
Oh shoot. I'm gonna have to go with Damian Pierce. I think he's a sleeper.
Okay.
Ooh,
I really do. I don't think he's gonna be like amazing, but I think
He's going to be
at
amazing for
least-
Houston.
I think he's probably gonna be flex potential, possibly
Okay.
an RB2.
Okay.
So a
I can
low
see
end
that.
RB2.
okay. I like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to the Algiere hope for my sleeper.
Yeah,
Oh,
of course.
you're counting him as a sleeper.
Falcons
Interesting.
fan.
Yeah, I want him to be a sleeper because he just has so much room to grow.
Yeah.
So I hope he grows into what we think he can be.
So I thought you were going to have him as a lock. Very interesting, but
No.
for me, Pierre Strong. I think he is
Yeah,
such
I like that.
a different player than what typically New England drafts, and I think that shows you that there is going to be a pretty wide shift in schematics, especially since McDaniels is in there, but Bill is there. But he is the only home run threat on that running back core, and I can see him being on the field sooner than later, considering Damian Harris is on the last year of his deal. James White's coming off injury. You have Ramondre, but he's completely different player compared to Pierre Strong. So
Yeah.
give me some Pierre Strong.
I like it. So what's your lock, Josh? We'll just stay with you. I already know what it is. But
Yeah,
just say it.
give me James Cook. That to me, like especially just watching it, the fit makes too much sense. The player is already really good to begin with. I am really excited to see where it goes from there.
Okay. Ryan?
Dude, this is the hardest one for me. I'm split. I want to
Not
say
s-
James Cook.
No.
But I
I
also
don't.
want to say Kenneth Walker. I
Okay,
think
no,
I think he's a
respect it.
lock
I respect it.
because I think Seattle's got something going with him. So I'm gonna go ahead and do Kenneth Walker.
All right, I will
I
go the
will.
last second round running back, Brees Hall, just because he's the most likely to see the field out of all of them. So
Absolutely.
I mean, you just can't question that. He's the best running back
Yeah.
from the class, talent wise and floor wise. He's gonna see the field. He's gonna play. We don't know how much or in what role, whether he's a starter or not, but he's gonna see the field, and so he's got to be your lock. Now he could suck.
Yeah.
He could come in and play and suck. That's totally too. But he's gonna play day one.
Yeah, he'll play day one. You have Michael Carter there if things go south for even a little bit.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think definitely by the bye week, we're talking about Brees Hall as a top 2 round pick going into next year and as a keeper option.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, guys, that is all the
It's
running
running
backs.
backs.
That is the running backs. Welcome to the end
It was
of
so
day
smooth.
2 of rookie week.
Yeah.
And honestly, again, we went through quarterbacks. Now we're going through running backs. Don't forget, each day this week, you're going to see another position. So I believe next week we're going either receivers or O-line. It's one of those. Yes,
going
we
receivers.
we're going with receivers. And yes, we do include O-line, not in the receivers, but within our overall big board, culminating into basically you're going to be able to see us create that big board on the very last day. But don't forget, hit up our socials on not only on Sleeper, but Twitter and IG, Last Place Fantasy Podcast. I am Josh, that is Ethan, and that is Ryan, and we will see y'all next week.
Yes. And before we go, just remember, sometimes you're right and sometimes you're Ryan. Have a good day, everyone.
Because I'm always right.
What a proverb.